More than 60 illegal immigrants found inside an 18-wheeler tanker trailer that led police on a chase in South Texas. That big rig hit several law enforcement vehicles during their pursuit, causing officers to open fire. A trooper was injured. He is expected to be okay. The migrants were turned over to Border Patrol. And a newly released report from ICE reveals arrests and deportations decreased significantly under President Joe Biden. In fact, take a look at this. 74,082 migrants were arrested in the U.S. during the 2021 fiscal year. That is down from 103,603 in 2020. Deportations also dropped to 59,011, the lowest number since 1995. I know we have 2021 there, but it's actually the lowest number since 1995. And Mark Morgan, the former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow at FAIR, joining us right now to break down some of these numbers. Mark, good morning to you. I know you've been waiting a while for these numbers to be released. Clearly, not a surprise considering the crisis we've seen at the border. You saw the story that we just reported on there. What message does this send to migrants looking to cross the southern border?
Yeah, Jay, look, we've been waiting 5.5 months for this report. You and I personally talked about this a couple of times. And now, just as we've been saying, we see why they've been delaying this report to try to spend it as much as they could because the numbers are horrific. Look, it's important we put this in context. While we're experiencing the highest level of illegal immigrations in our lifetime and our borders are out of control, we've essentially handed the southwest border over to the cartels. What are we seeing? The lowest number of arrests, the lowest number of deportation, and the lowest number of illegal aliens being detained by ICE we've seen in over 20 years. Look, the message is clear. Now is the time to illegally enter our borders, break the sovereignty of our nation, because this report clearly shows and is sending a message. We're not only going to help you break into our country and release you, but we're going to prevent you from being unlawfully deported. So my recommendation to Vice President Harris, if you really want to find those root causes, read this report.
And the ICE acting director reacted to this report, someone from the administration, saying, as the annual report's data reflects, ICE's officers and special agents focused on cases that delivered the greatest law enforcement impact in communities across the country while upholding our values as a nation. So, Mark, it's clear ICE under the Biden administration has changed drastically from the prior administration. How do you see this playing out in years to come?
Look, Jan, if this wasn't so serious, I'd just laugh at that statement. I mean, I don't even know what that statement is saying. And look, I've never seen more spin and misdirection come from a career official than I have in that statement. And look, Mr. Johnson, he should be ashamed of himself. He knows better. Here's the reality. Here's how this played out in the last year. The overwhelming majority of those that ICE arrests in the interior are not only here illegally, but they also have an additional criminal conviction or a criminal pending charge. That's a fact. What we saw is that fewer historic lows are being arrested. So that means more criminals are out in our community. In addition to that, ICE agents were forced to release under this administration 16,000 illegal aliens that they had in custody that had criminal conviction and criminal charges. So what that means, in the 1.4 million that either were released in the United States or the 600,000 that evaded apprehension, at the end of the day, that just means there are more illegal aliens walking our communities that also have criminal convictions, criminal charges. That's going to continue to play out in the next 3 years. And
one policy the Biden administration moved to end is the deportation of minors under Title 42. Of course, no one could come in during the pandemic, hardly. We couldn't even allow travel from many countries during the pandemic. But a judge ruled that the Biden administration could no longer exempt teens and children from Title 42. Well, the CDC, get this, released a statement saying, quote, after considering current public health conditions and recent developments, expulsion of unaccompanied non-citizen children is not warranted to protect the public health in recognition of the unique vulnerabilities of unaccompanied non-citizen children. The CDC is immediately terminating the CDC orders to the extent they apply to them. What's your thoughts on this, Mark? What do you make of the CDC's decision to terminate this policy for minors only?
Yeah, Jay, so keep in mind, what you said is very important. Look, they terminated this, did what I call political carve-out for the unaccompanied minors a year ago. And at the time of the pandemic was still in the heights where this government was forcing mandates, forcing individuals to be vaccinated and mask mandates. If you want to keep your job, if you want to pay your mortgage, put food on the table, you have to get vaccinated. They were even driving vaccine for very young children. At the same time that was going on, they ended this for unaccompanied minors. And where's the science? Look, we know the majority of unaccompanied so-called minors are actually 16, 17 years old. The science have been very clear that they can carry the coronavirus just as much as an adult can. And that's why the majority of Americans feel that this was an ideologic, politically driven carve-out, and that this is exactly why the public's trust and the CDC has been lost. It's hypocrisy, and it makes no sense. And in the day, I actually believe American lives have been lost so they can achieve their ideologically or political agenda here.
And to your point, we don't even know if they're 16 or 17 years old, right? Because we don't even have identification. So as you've mentioned,
many of them are older. That's right.
As you've said, it's mostly teen boys when we talk about unaccompanied children. That is statistically true. That's what you said before. So more than 2.8 million people have left Ukraine as Russia continues to invade the country. Mark, as Ukrainians continue to try and get out as fast as they can, you argue the answer should not always be automatically to bring refugees here to the United States. Tell us why you think it's so important for Ukrainians to stay in neighboring countries.
Yeah, Jen, this is very important. Look, I'm not saying that we should never accept refugees. What I'm saying is it should be case specific. And in this case, I think the overwhelming majority of our focus, of our strategy, should be able to help the European theater, help the countries that are adjacent, that are close to Ukraine. Let's get them the resources, whether that's through donations through Red Cross, UNICEF, Samaritan's Purse, or as Congress has done, give them some funding. And to get these refugees off the border, out of the shelters, but yet they can share this within the European theater. It's not just Poland, but Romania, Germany, Italy, Spain, even the UK. I think the best thing that we can do for the Ukrainian citizens, and we should, is get them relief as fast as possible. And that's to get them to other countries in the European theater. And the last thing I'll say is, look, and we've seen the Ukrainian citizens, their resolve, their tenacity, their love for the country. One of the issues of refugees, it's not permanent, it's temporary. So when it's safe to go back to Ukraine, they should be in a position where they can get back to Ukraine as fast as possible to help rebuild their country.
Mark Morgan, always great seeing you. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday. Have a good one.
Yeah.